All right, video number 2 of Fillet versus Random Captains. This time's Fillet versus Wellington of the Cooks. These are really nerve-wracking videos to record, I've found. Like, after doing the first one, there's going to be better players pointing out so many mistakes that I don't see, but we'll do our best. We'll try and make some fun content as well, and at least throw out my butcher's strategies, and hey, I'm down to... I'll argue my butcher's strategies against anyone in the world, so... you disagree, feel free. And if you want to laugh at mistakes that I've missed, well, be nice. Okay. Extremely sleep deprived and 1 beer down so far. So let's see how I can do recording a video. Against the Cooks. The Cooks are our minor guild, so very, very killy. Well, they all have intimidation. They all wreck our defense. Cooks are probably the highest damage guild in the game. Blacksmiths would surprise you, but anyway. Main gimmick with the Cooks. Spice is their main, well, the captain's always the main killer, but Spice is their main squaddy killer. Sugar puts out unbelievable amounts of AoE damage. I've had Sugar have a 23 damage activation before, I think. Cooks tend to play Cinnamon and Roast as quite supporting pieces. They usually get less influence and just try and get Spice to do nuts things. Obviously, it's the same Roast we play. Cooks are a very influence starved team. So their Roast doesn't tend to get as much influence as the Butcher's Roast does, but he can. Like, he's equally threatening. More so since Cooks have a lot more damage buffs than we do. Okay, just pause for a moment. Just take stock of this. So the opponents decided they want to play on the side of the field. Most people kick off from the middle. Also declining this box for their kicker to kick from. That's fine. They want a more closed space. I would have expected like the left side maybe, deny us the piece of cover. But right side it is. Spice is a pretty common kickoff. You stack all your buffs on Spice. She goes last. She blows up the entire team. One common trick they do is they use all their movement shenanigans on Sugar, and Sugar can usually get in range of her chili cookout on someone. She can cross to basically the deployment line, I think. I don't remember if exactly deployment line's safe, or if it's just a couple inches ahead of it. If you remember from the last video, I generally regard the edge of this guild ball line, this 4-inch line, as like my safety point. I'm sort of happy just being behind that. Sugar reaches past this 4-inch line, absolutely. And so yeah, they go for short kickoffs generally to try and get Sugar on someone. Vedox decides to retrieve the ball, that's fine. So we've lined up. Brisket and Fillet are going to do stuff. They're going to use the ball to do things. So these idiots, they'll just get 1 influence apiece to kick it around. Vedox, it's like the first decision of the game, and I cannot for the life of me figure out if it was correct. Banking the momentum's great. We need a momentum at some point. Like, if nothing else, Brisket will need it to shoot. And then having the counterattack available is nice as well. Like, being able to shoot, bonus time the shot, defensive counter, like all of this momentum matters on turn 1. But I don't know if the 4-inch dodge can get Ox to safety. I'm not quite familiar enough with Cook's threat ranges. I know Spice can get to my deployment line, that's easy. And if Ox is here, stacking up is scary because both Spice and Sugar are AoE models. Ox dodging to here doesn't seem great. But maybe Ox should have dodged here. Anyway, I banked the momentum. And Ox is honestly our least valuable squaddy, barring Brisket, barring turn 2 Brisket anyway. We really want to get Gutter's charge off if we can, and we don't ever want to lose Roast. Game plan for this game is mostly score 4 points with Brisket and then race. We want the opponent to never have time to kick a goal, and we want them to have to get 6 takeouts while we only need 4. If we can collapse a scrum with Fillet, that's great. Sometimes Fillet against, so this is why we're running Fillet first of all, is that against squishy teams like Cooks and Butchers, sometimes Fillet just collapses the team and they can no longer allocate influence. So we'll also see if we can make that happen. Yep, people just go around. I don't really want Gutter standing next to Ox. I don't want Spice blowing up both of them with her AoE, same with Sugar. And I figure we're going to move a lot of the action into the middle anyway, so Gutter standing here is probably fine. Princess is Ox's bodyguard. She's hoping to take a dice off when Spice tries to get on him. Maybe Princess could have run to safety, but I think that's a fine spot for Princess. If, yeah, these guys decide to come this way too, Ox will want a friend. Yep, so Roast missed his pass here, that was fine. Scatter was okay, so we just went and picked it up and passed it again. Not the end of the world, even if he screws it up magnificently, because Fillet. So one thing, if you remember from last video, I don't like to have big fighting turn ones and a goal run. I think it's too hard to make both work. I think you overextend yourself. So despite this stack of Fillet influence, I hope it's intimidating for my opponent. We're not actually planning to use Fillet this turn. All this attention will be on Brisket, and we'll make our turn 1 goal run. We could try to do both. Like, obviously, we could have put an influence somewhere here, a 6th influence on Fillet from somewhere over here. It would have made the pass a little harder. Like Gross missed pass, for example, would have been more punishing. We already missed out on his aura because he had to pass a 2nd time. So it's just little things like that. You'd be surprised we're just taking a bit of influence to try and stack it. Does burn you. Brisket could have also had 2, like just... no, Brisket needs 3. Sprint, super shot, shoot. Yeah, Brisket needs 3. Anyway, that's... And then even if Fillet does get that 6 influence and goes in alone, she's often overextended because she is in there alone. Anyway, I just wanted to highlight our plan right now is not actually to use this. We're sending Brisket in. Yep, Pepper surprises me with his reach. He actually gets onto Oxia. I wasn't really expecting to Pepper a charge, but this is what the Cooks do. They set up their buffs. Like, their buffs are AoE, so they can launch random missiles like Pepper here. Ox counters it and shoves him out. Just a nice Spice's assist. Pepper's no longer engaging. Yep. Fillet passes the ball to Brisket. Get the dodge. Quick foot Brisket. Throw a random pain circle. Pretty standard Fillet turn 1. We missed Cinnamon. I don't think I've rolled yet. Anyway, I missed Cinnamon. 5 defense, and we tag Wellington, which is perfectly fine. And you'll see all the careful measuring bubbles. Spice. We're measuring the bubbles just then. That was Spice's threat range. Wellington's already activated. Cinnamon's already activated. So we know Spice's threat now is 8-inch sprint, 8-inch charge, 2-inch melee, and 2 inches from Cinnamon's buff. We measure out 12 inches, and Fillet stays out of that 12 inches. If Wellington hadn't activated yet, he messes it up because he's got his Scathing Rebuke, but he has. So we just measure out the 12. It is very, very important that Spice cannot get under Fillet here. We don't want Fillet getting one-rounded. She's full health. Wellington struggles to one-shot her. It's not likely. And Wellington has to be terrified of Fillet's counterattack because she has all these dodges. And so, first of all, he has to get to base. So it makes the jog 6 attacks a lot harder. And second of all, he has to, not get dodged out. Because then you've got a 6 stack in. You got a full stacked influence with a bricked activation. It's just game losing. So it's just very important Fillet doesn't take anything this turn. So we've measured out Spice's charge range here so that we don't. Fillet is pretty safe. Sugar can't quite reach it either. I don't remember if I measured that. But yeah, Fillet couldn't reach and would have to run through the blood. And Sugar'd be quite a risk too, because the chili cookout against a 5-0 defense already isn't great. Yeah. Sugar takes the expected dump, just blow up Ox with a whole lot of damage. Attack doesn't matter anymore, so this is your chance to hurt Princess too. Obviously Brisket's not going to use this attack buff. Princess maybe could have been safe. I still liked Princess being there. I don't hate the choice. Whether Vedox should be here is another big matter. I don't know if Ox should have used that dodge. But as you can see, we've got one influence, one momentum, which Brisket needs. Admittedly, we spent one on Ox's counterattack, which maybe we wouldn't have needed. I don't remember Pepper's threat ranges exactly. So maybe that would have been saved on the counterattack if Ox dodged. Who knows? Anyway, Brisket's just going to make a simple jog, super shot, shoot. Just trying to decide which side I want to kick on, like where does Brisket want to be for next turn. She's here, she's sort of a bodyguard for Fillet. I think was my thinking at the time. But yeah, I tend to overthink these activations, burn way too much clock. Brisket should just come here and shoot. Let's not overthink this activation. Then yeah, I measured, can I get to tap in with a sprint? No, obviously not. Stop wasting clock. Stop wasting clock, Link. Just do the obvious. This was a 10-second play. Sprint, super shot, shoot. So we end up here. Cool. Decided to do the bodyguard line. Make the shot. Brisk what ice. Couldn't bonus time it. I would have bonus timed it if we had the extra momentum, but what ice already pretty good. And if you're particularly astute right now, you'll see I've just thrown the game. We just lost. Guild Ball is a game of millimeters. I can't even say inches because tabletop game. Very, very, very small game. So we'll see how the game plays out. But that, remember what I said? That is not acceptable. So Spice kills, like Spice's big buff turn is just kill a 2 HP Ox. Great. And Princess, so be it. Ox was a dead man when he got the whole Cook's combo dumped on him. The problem with Obrisket being here, less so Obrisket dying, but now Spice can dodge off of Obrisket and get onto Fillet. And she can also do AoE things. She's got her burning, intensify stuff. So I didn't measure that when I placed Brisket as the bodyguard. Brisket needed to be a little further to the left. That should have been measured. And this is, sorry, pause one more time. This is not to say every time you move a model, you need to measure out all the threat ranges. That'll just burn your clock. That'll overwhelm you. You'll end up measuring a whole lot of things that don't matter. Don't think this is, oh, I screwed up because I went into someone's threat range. Now, I screwed this up because Spice's threat range specifically, we had a plan of we want to blank Spice, blank Spice as much as possible. She can have this Ox. She can't have anything valuable. So if we're focusing on Spice specifically, we should be measuring Spice's threat bubbles. Not everyone else's. We don't need to know where Wellington can get to next turn. He can get onto whatever. We don't need to know, oh, can Roast charge Gutter next turn? We don't need to know that. Or does Roast have a goal run? But we need to always be aware of where can Spice get to. So that was a huge, huge misplay. So now Spice gets to do this. She didn't roll particularly well. That's a lot of not 4s. And then Fillet heals a little off the bleeding models. But it doesn't take much chip. Wellington trying to one-shot Fillet is already so close. Any chip damage makes it so much more likely. And the opponent obviously comfortably wins momentum. They comboed a whole bunch and we went on a goal run. Yeah, obviously the opponent gets to choose. And that was always going to happen. I might be underestimating Wellington. It's possible Wellington just one-shots full health Fillet anyway, and that this whole plan was a disaster. But I don't think so. I think I'm willing to have Wellington clash against Fillet clash against Wellington like this, when she's full health and without friends around. was actually quite proud of this influence placement. You'll see. We've got a 1 HP burning ox here engaged by sugar, and you got a full stack of 3. That's purely because of activation pressure. We're losing something at the top of this turn. It's going to be Fillet. Like, the opponent wants to take Fillet. If we put 0 influence on Fillet, they'll just collect the ox. Like, Fillet can run away, whatever. But they'll just collect ox's influence instead. So we've got to balance what exactly we're losing. And if we're confident we're losing Fillet, we want ox's activation. We want him to do things. We want him to engage with these 2 models and heal himself up to 5. Cost the opponent more influence to kill him. And activation pressure them in return. So I think, yeah, you can recognize this sort of thing. Ox can actually carry 3 here when it looks like he can't. And we've decided 2 is the breaking point of where Fillet is threatening enough that you have to go for Fillet. If you ignore her, she's still threatening. And Brisket honestly doesn't need this 3rd. Princess doesn't need 1 either. Princess will die before she activates most of the time here. So, yeah, opponent comes in on Fillet. I think Wellington gets crowded out for a bit, actually, by Brisket, but it doesn't matter. Fillet comfortably goes down under the Legendary. The Legendary effectively just gives him an extra attack here because the Chef Special is free. Well, there goes our Super Solo Captain, dead before activating the top of turn 2. So that's generally a disaster. They got their full turn 1 combo into Veteran Ox. Ox is always the target for some reason. Like, obviously here, because he was the furthest forward, he was the only one really exposed. Vedox dies a lot when I play with him. Not necessarily a bad thing. Like I said, we wanted Vedox to die so that Gutter, we want Vedox to be the target so that Gutter could get good charges off, and we don't want Roast to die. Or Gutter could get a good charge off. And she has offered that. Gutter has 2 premium targets right here to come and mess up. But obviously we're activating Ox. We put 3 influence on him to be able to do this. I immediately forget Ox's card, the +1 tack. He should be rolling 8 dice here. Ox is rowdy, so Sugar doesn't actually crowd him out. Hooray, immediately forgot the +1 tack card. No, did I remember it at the end? I might have remembered it at the end. Yep, then we heal ourselves, we just wander over to cover, and we lash out and kill Pepper. Puts up our aura. So this is activation pressure. We've lost the Fillet, but we got Ox's activation. We got to do things with his influence. We made momentum. We killed Pepper. We damaged Sugar. And he's put up the owner. So the owner's going to start killing people. So the opponent's activation is now forced to kill Ox. And Ox is already activated. He spent all his influence. So the opponent can't control or kill a model with influence right now. They're forced to go after the Ox instead. And that's just the activation pressure style of games that both Butchers and Cooks play. So we do it to each other here. Games are always Guild Ball is basically always in a state of either threat bubble pressure or activation pressure. And you just recognize what the current turn looks like. I'll go into that in a future video, I guess, but it's just something I keep in mind while I play. Yep, not hard for Sugar to just kill a 5 HP Ox. And then she decides to block up Gutter's charge. Gutter can't get a charge, which is good. Good play. Roast. This is the fun of being Cooks. So Spice is a 4-0 glass cannon, and Roast is a cook killer. So opponent doesn't use their Roast. Their Roast is influence efficient battery sort of person. Witches tend to use their Roast. So don't really need to do the maths on this. Roast got his +1 attack from his card. Immediately knocked down. So we're hitting a 2-0 now. He gets a push attached to his damage into Brisket. We're bonus timing these attacks now. Because Roast might have gotten lucky, but I actually think the maths is not too bad. Roast one-shots the fully stacked Spice here. So that's the big star killer gone. Huge swing in the game. We lost Fillet, obviously. But the opponent just lost almost all of their pressure on that activation. So, champion roast and the brisket gang up. And that's part of our activation pressure, like the fact they had to kill Vedox there, that they couldn't interact with this fight. Cinnamon surprises me, actually. I healed Brisket and Cinnamon just killed her anyway. That was 13 HP with 3 influence. But congratulations, Cinnamon, just blew up Brisket. I thought Brisket had lived that. And then, yeah, we're just going to gang up on Gutter, because Gutter's carrying the 4 influence, and he wants to minimize Gutter's turn. Which is effective. Gutter sucks at fighting. Her playbook is awful. Like, Momentous 1-on-1, Momentous 2-on-3. Gutter doesn't wail on people all that well. She charges someone, and then she just leaves the game and spectates. So this is good from the opponent. Fortunately, though, we finally have our scrum. After all the killing, models have just been generally getting deleted yet. We don't have a scrum. We finally have our scrum, and it's on a piece of cover right on our side of the board. Perfect place for a scrum. And the ball's not even a threat, because Roast was very, very passive with the ball. I think that was generally a mistake from the opponent. Roast should have been threatening more goal stuff here, or passing to Wellington or something. Anyway, gotta cut some people, they start bleeding. Yeah, she gets counterattacked for a bunch of damage off both of them. Not a problem, we can just heal her. Wellington has used his legendary, so Wellington's ability to one-shot people is now diminished a little. Might still one-shot Roast. Gets a little weird with Wellington because he has to like raptor dodges and things, but he can do it. There's a lot Wellington can do, but it's risky. That's just part of playing Cooks. Sort of similar to Fillet in that way. Okay, Gutter just wailed on people. They bled a bit. Looks like Cinnamon's on fire. She got hit in a... I don't know why Cinnamon's on fire. Roast definitely didn't burn her. So. Anyway, oh yeah, Princess came. So Princess didn't die. Princess wandered in to get this extra gang up on Sugar. So the game's in a really weird spot. Basically everyone's dead. Wellington's alive and safe. Points are still 7-6 though. So our premise of hopefully our goal run lets us win the race is sort of standing strong, but the fact that Fillet got blown up here has made the game very, very weird. I think our saving grace is, yeah, the scrum is in such a favorable place for us. Roast can't do anything. Wellington doesn't have a particularly clean target. We don't care if Gutter explodes here. Gutter is not a priority model on turn 3. And the opponents are all very low. They don't have any, actually, yeah, they don't have any full health models left, period. Sort of just Roast with his chip damage here. We're also up 2 influence, is quite nice. Hasn't mattered too much because we're both just killing all of each other's influence. But it is a nice little perk. Oh, that just popped up and... right. I'll have to remember to disable Steam next time. Okay, chugging back on. Opponent comes on fairly conservatively. We do the same, but our models are threats, whereas theirs aren't. Scrum positioning. So we just measure Wellington's range here. Obviously, Wellington will just kill Fillet if he's in range. Wellington can't Scathing Rebuke himself from memory, so he's got a pretty static threat bubble here until Cinnamon can buff him, if she can. But that's activation pressure, and it's Cinnamon not doing anything, so we can react to that. Fillet just stays out of Wellington's reach. Sugar gets marked. Maybe Cinnamon should have been marked here. Doesn't really matter. Just because Sugar's more likely to go first than Cinnamon. That's all. And Sugar can walk away and mess up the mark target. Anyway, Wellington rebukes Cinnamon. He comes in to kill Gutter. Yep, Gutter's dead. That's in cover, but 2 gang ups. Already chipped. I'm not really expecting her to do anything here. Gutter's not particularly helpful here either, so if anyone's dying, she's to be her. And this is, yep, there she goes. Nope, knocked down. Oh, she didn't die this activation. Oh, she did. Okay, cool. Knocked down and then 6 damage. This is how you scrum in Guild Ball, and that'll absolutely be a future video. But we've got the scrum in a favorable position, and then it's a matter of you want to be hitting important models. So you either want to be killing influence, or if you can't do that, hitting models that have already activated and hitting important models is what you're looking for. So we've got the scrum in a perfect spot, and Gutter is our useless model that they've just spent their entire big activation on and most of their influence. That was their captain's activation. So things are going great for us. That's 2 boxes ticked already on how to scrum, on what we want a scrum to look like. Next step is Sugar has a whole bunch of influence. We want to take Sugar's influence off the pitch. And that'll be the 3rd tick in a scrum then, of take influence off the pitch. But it did take 2 of Gutter's influence. That is good. And I don't know what they could have done better. Didn't have a whole lot of targets. A big part of this is just because we have the 4 points from O'Brisket. We were 4 points shorter here, then obviously the opponent's in a great place. But we're going to scrum in a very favorable scrum in multiple ways that we've just said, and Fillet is going to show off what Fillet does. She's fully stacked. Sugar's taken a beating already. 11 health, ganged up. I guess the gang up and the cover cancel each other out. But armor doesn't help that much against Fillet. Against 8 tack, you really need high defenses, and Sugar's a 3-2. Fillet likes hitting 3-2s. Much more than 4-1s or 5-0s. Only 2 results as I say that. But Fillet's doing just fine. Yeah, we dodged in to try and prevent the single push counterattack. Fillet's always a little afraid of counterattacks. We finally get the blood ring. Everyone's bleeding. Unfortunately, if I legendary Sugar out here, I can't actually get back into these 2. Otherwise, I would have taken the very efficient legendary. So instead, we just stab Sugar and dodge into Wellington. Take a stab on him for some damage. Roast can threaten to kill him. Yep. Looks like a bonus timed a whole lot throughout that sequence. Which is not bad. We needed Sugar dead there. So it looks like we did a lot of bonus times to make sure that happens. And Fillet heals herself. Okay, from here, the opponent doesn't realistically have kills here anymore. Cinnamon's not. I underestimated Cinnamon on Brisket, but she is missing an influence. Fillet's in cover. She's not as good against a 4-0 as she is against a 3-0 Brisket. So I'm not afraid of Cinnamon here. The main fear here is that Roast still has the ball. And I think the opponent could have set something up earlier in the turn to use this ball. Maybe instead of Wellington going in early for an early push. You probably had to activate Wellington first. Fillet might have threatened to kill him. Anyway, Cinnamon just pops this resilience, chips Roast, and then tries to stop Ox getting onto Wellington, which she succeeds. Heals Wellington as well. So there goes our kill on Wellington. Okay. So, Brisket, yeah. This was one thing I forgot at the time, I remembered, I think after this activation, is that Spice is still active. Roast can pass to Spice, Spice can dodge forward, and this is still active. Roast with a second influence, putting his aura on Spice as well would have made it a bit scarier, but anyway. Yep, so Brisket comes for the gang up on Cinnamon just to help out before Ox starts his wailing on her, because Ox is going to try and kill Cinnamon. Pepper eats Princess. Not a problem. The 1 point doesn't matter. Princess is not really doing anything, and it does trigger a loved creature, which astute observers will note I immediately forget. Rolling 7 dice against Cinnamon because we've got the cover versus the Crowder, the gang up. But I actually have loved creature, so as is tradition, I don't think I've remembered loved creature in years, no matter what sort of tokens I put out. And I know I'm not alone in that. So this should be a +1. But Ox high rolls these, like Ox spikes this fairly well. Rolls a lot of 3s, a lot of roll 3 5s, despite missing that extra dice. So Lash Out end his turn, puts her on 3 life and bleeding. Yep. Spice. Oh. Did he just drop the bowl of spice? Didn't he just pass the bowl of spice? How did he pass the bowl of spice and put up the aura? There was only one influence. Maybe I missed something there. Anyway, Cinnamon's going to be our kill here. So Roast was going to try and go for Wellington. Like Roast can't really kill Wellington here. He does need some help, and I don't have any help available. Ox maybe could have just sprinted over there and ignored Cinnamon. But that's still only... Yeah, maybe that was better. Maybe Vedox should have just come straight for Wellington and then Roast to finish it off. Maybe Cinnamon, hitting Cinnamon was a trap there. Anyway, Roast is going to come and slaughter Pepper, which is still valuable because we are on 9 points. So this is a real takeout now. Yep. Fortunately for Pepper, we're a cook, so we're pretty good at hitting 5-0 defenses. So this is, at this point, we're trying to remember if Cinnamon has already been encouraged this turn. So it's just measuring range from Spice. Can Spice actually getting range to encourage Cinnamon and heal her? Has she already been encouraged? Does anyone remember? I was really struggling to at the time. Both of us were. Has Cinnamon already been healed? I'm struggling to remember, and I've just watched this game, like knowing this was coming. It's quite important. She's on 3 life and bleeding, and the opponent's about to, I'm about to go to 10 points as Pepper dies here, so this matters. Yep, knock down Pepper, kill him by a lot. Accidentally bumped Roast, I think. That's fine. Goodbye to the mascot. Still trying to remember, has Cinnamon been healed? It does sort of decide what Spice does here. So our opponent needs 2 takeouts. I just need Cinnamon today. So feeling pretty good. So if she hasn't been healed, if she has been healed, we win. We just win. If she hasn't been healed, then the opponent can still win momentum off a Spice here. That'd be a momentum. That'd be challenging, but we'd see. Like, because she's killing Roast, but I still have my 7 card, and the opponent just used their 7 card. So it'd be a game still. Either way, Spice is coming to massacre Roast. He can't survive this, not close. She can wrap the... she's still in Wellington's chef special. She can wrap to her dodge on 1. Her 1 damage dodge that still gets buffed by chef special. She doesn't want to get, like, she can dodge to position better for big bellied. She's 2-inch. She can intensify if she doesn't want to get big bellied. Roast is just very, very dead. And he explodes onto 2 attacks. And it did not occur to me in the slightest. This is when I realized, oh wow, have I just thrown the game. Spice, so Roast, could have freely spent 2 momentum to heal Fillet. At the time, I was debating, like, oh, if you can still heal Cinnamon, there will be a next turn, and this momentum race will be everything. So I didn't spend, and you can see I'm time pressured on the clock here too. So I didn't spend my 2 momentum. I should have done, this is where tournament etiquette gets a little awkward. I should have paused the clock until we had a conclusive answer. Hey, has she been healed? Let's figure this out. If nothing else, I was recording. We can go check the recording. We can look through vassal logs. We can do a whole bunch of stuff, but should have paused the clock until this was figured out. I figured it was locked up anyway, so I didn't really want to just drag things out like that. But it mattered because I ended up not spending 2 momentum, and Spice can absolutely kill Fillet here. Can't if Fillet's on 13 instead of 9 here, we're safe. So that's the end of the game. Let's go back to that end screen. So that's where I paused the video to go look up as Cinnamon being healed. Should have done that before we decided, like back when we were deciding whether to spend 2 momentum, but do it now. Turns out Cinnamon has already been encouraged. Wellington encouraged, I think it was both her and Sugar after his activation. When he killed Gutter, he made a whole lot of momentum and he healed both of them. So Cinnamon has already been encouraged. She's dead. And so once we've figured that out, it's just can Spice kill Fillet? Spice is unlikely to. It's only 2 attacks. It is at +1 damage, but she doesn't. It would be a big spike to kill Fillet, and she doesn't get it. So Cinnamon bleeds to death, and that's 12 points. 12 points too. I think it's 11 actually with Roast dead. I don't think we incremented that. Very, very close game in the end. I thought it was over back on turn 1, back when Brisket mispositioned by the slightest millimeter and allowed Spice to get under Fillet. Yeah, I was very confident it was over back then, so very happy with the result. I like the strategy. I think this is probably a Fillet matchup rather than Vet Boar. I'm not entirely sure. It might just be kick with Boar, receive with Fillet. Got to run the maths properly on what are the odds Wellington 1 rounds Fillet. But then that assumes like Wellington can jog into her as well. Wellington on a charge is less likely, and defensive stance, things like that. Not happy with how we played really macro or micro. The team was fine. The macro plan. I don't mind Vedox in the matchup. Maybe it could have been Vet Brisket. Vet Brisket's always solid and a good battery. Yeah, I liked this plan of Fillet just plays threat bubble, silly games, gutter threatening charges and counter charges. And obviously, Vero Brisket goal, a big one, helps us race the points. I don't like that I still don't know the answer to where Vedox should have ended his activation after the kickoff. Obviously, that's not a thing we can plan too much for because the kickoff is so random where it'll end up. You can't just confidently say, oh, yeah, Vedox will always end up here, which means he should always dodge to there. Doesn't work that way. Other future kickoffs will look different to that one. But otherwise, I liked the plan. Too many micro mistakes. Forgetting whether Cinnamon had been healed or not spending the momentum properly on that turn. Obviously, the Brisket positioning. But in the end, like, the basic principles of scrumming, have it in a good position on your side of the board is great. It means your opponent can't commit their piece as well. It means your pieces can get into the fight easier. Like you saw Princess came and provided a casual gang up. You saw Roast couldn't do that. You saw that Spice couldn't get a charge. She had to like use multiple activations to get the ball to get in there. Whereas you saw Brisket and Vedox just casually beat people up. Like Wellington had to go in and expose himself, where Fillet could just countercharge. So the positioning of the scrum, we got the right models dying. Gutter's the one we wanted to die. Roast and Fillet are the killers, and they both killed people. So we had the right person in the exposed position there with Gutter. And we were removing a lot of influence off the board. Fillet removed 4 influence. Roast earlier removed Spice's effective 4 influence with her 2. With her 2 Berserk. So I feel like the fundamentals of scrumming really saved us this game. We had a really good fight here. But otherwise, not too happy with how we played this game. Sorry I couldn't actually quite show the end. I did stop the recording to go check Cinnamon. But otherwise, still a fun game. Cooks vs. Butchers is always a very fun matchup. So as you can see, it is very, very violent. Both sides are very fast glass cannons. But I think it also shows the importance of the ball, even in matchups like this. We used the ball, the opponent didn't. Roast should have been threatening more with the ball. Even if it didn't end up in the goal, Roast needed the ball more active, in my opinion. But I'd love to hear any feedback from you guys. I'll try and get over these nerves of putting together videos in front of players much stronger than I am. Well, I'm going to keep going with these. I've got many more Butcher games to come. Lots of Fillet games, not all Fillet games. And eventually we'll get to other clubs. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Goodbye.